Hey guys, it's just Adam and today we'll be discussing the departure of Peter Lawwell. Obviously it's been bandied about and I've said in numerous videos about the Celtic board and the poor running of Celtic. But this comes with quite a troubled exit from Peter Lawwell. It might be true, it might not be true, but I think it is true. He's been forced out the club due to fan abuse. Obviously, I get the Celtic fans were unhappy, but it's everybody's entitled to their opinion. But I'm not going to go on that side of the argument because that will start getting maybe political or stuff like that, and it might go into a different argument. So there's no point in getting anywhere near that because we're talking about football at the end of the day. So in this video we'll be talking about what Peter Lawwell brought to Celtic, the success they've seen. Obviously we know about 9 in a rows, quadruple trebles, just numerous league titles, Scottish Cups, League Cups, and I'll be talking about the recent struggles as well. So if you enjoy that kind of content, remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and ring that wee bad bell. And I hope you keep enjoying the content. Remember, I'm trying to build a community here, so let's get into the video. So guys, Peter Lawwell, obviously he's been at Celtic for 22 years, so he's had a major impact since he's came in. He first joined as a chief exec in October 2003. Obviously Celtic has just previously got to a European Cup final against Jose Mourinho and they obviously tragically lost that. Because it was quite a close final against a very good manager, but you would say it's tragic and what it brought in Europe after it, because they've not made it to they've not won a European knockout tie in my lifetime, especially. But because the success of all Scottish clubs is good in Europe, I would say. But moving away from that, it's like they've obviously dominated Scottish football. 29 trophies in 23 years. That's over one trophy a season, obviously. But that's the standards that Celtic set. Obviously back then Rangers were probably the better team. Obviously they previously just won 9 in a row, and so they were coming into a difficult. It was a good time for both clubs. He's obviously seen consistency on the pitch coming with that, but I think the big thing is he's worked towards improving Celtic Park. Obviously they've got the disco lights and the VIP areas are much better than they were. Obviously Celtic Park got done up in the 90s, but now it's kind of, well, it's not as, it's a good start. It's probably the best stadium in Scotland in the fact modernising it, but he'd also done Lennoxtown Training Centre, which was very good. But I think, if I'm right in saying, Celtic will move back into Barrowlands. I don't know about that. But I saw about that a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if that's women's team or men's team, but and obviously he's established Celtic into a world known brand. He became the chairman in 2023, and obviously he returned because he retired in 2021, and then he came back because he saw the governance in the football club wasn't doing quite well, because under Neil Lennon, we all remember the COVID season. It didn't go so well as planned, and yeah, so he's if you look at it that way, if you look at what I've just read out, it is very impressive from the previous Celtic chairman, but it's what else has he done? So we're going into that. So obviously, as I said, I've talked about all the other stuff, what he's done kind of well, and just his timeline is chief exec and chairman, but in recent seasons, as well as they've been winning, out behind the scenes, a lot of football fans as well as Celtic fans have seen how bad it is. Obviously, I'm not a Celtic fan, so I can't really go into it at well in the standpoint of Celtic podcasts and all that. They've had inside information, but looking from afar, it looks like they do have a disconnect there. It's like it's a loose wire, essentially. They don't look like they communicate with the fans well, and I think that's Peter, being the chairman, obviously, has been the root of that. The abuse, as I said earlier in the video, the abuse he got is probably not. You're always going to get abuse at these clubs, so it's hard to talk about in a mental state or it's verbal. You get what I'm trying to say. He's obviously had these troubles, but sometimes abuse goes over the line. But it's just where it's not up to me to draw that line. So obviously, this went down half well. It kind of started when Brendan Rodgers got appointed. So appointed Brendan Rodgers. They promised him that he would get backed. Continually, actually, every press conference, they very rarely done it, but they posted on their social media about their club's vision. AGM, obviously, he was not at that AGM a couple of weeks ago, but he rarely attended. He got his son to attend, which from afar doesn't sit right with me. And probably it clearly didn't sit right with Celtic fans, but it was promised to be backed, and that's why Brendan Rodgers left Celtic and now is in Saudi, is because he never got backed, and he never got backed. First season he did get backed, and that could be down to the recruitment department, it could be down to Brendan Rodgers, it could be down to the board, and who they what it did, because sometimes clubs go in three layers, so the chairman's like, I want this, manager's like, I want this. They need to fit a certain criteria. So chairman Peter Lawwell might have been like, we need players under 24. We need a Belgian player. Just stuff like that. They'll go, we need this, we need this, and there might be disagreement. But that, I'd say, that transfer window was, for the money they spent, it wasn't the best, because you could say Trusty's maybe been a fake success. Obviously they signed Arnie Engels, probably not worth the money, but he's still alright. But it's stuff like that, it's probably caused disconnect. And then obviously in the summer, Celtic had a bomb scare in the Villa, you could say. They misjudged how to work this transfer window. They waited too late. They signed Tinecti, signed Ian Axel on a free. They didn't sign a strike. They signed Shin, but he's nowhere near good enough. Because they're currently starting with Johnny Kenny. Not saying he's bad, but he's not Celtic level, I would say. And it's went from having Kyogo, who was probably the best striker in the league, even though he was quite good at falling, but he was the best striker in the league. And they've just not replaced him. They let Adam Ida leave as well. It was baffling. And every week you saw Brendan Rodgers come out and talk about the Honda Civic comments and stuff like that. He was clearly targeting the board, and obviously after they got beat off of Hearts, he left. And this raised a lot of eyebrows. And I think Martin O'Neill, obviously, brilliant to get his intern, but I think this was a very for the outside kind of things, it looks like a marketing stunt, basically. Getting a person that Celtic fans loved back, and so they can kind of get him back on board with the board. Obviously that went well, but then under the appointment of Wilson Nancy, they've just lost their 4th game in a row, and it's all been done under Peter Lawwell'S watch. They've continually banned ultras groups. I know the Green Brigade and the boys aren't, a lot of ultras groups that get into trouble, and that has been the case with the Celtic fans, but they bring that up where you can see at home games when the Green Brigade and the boys have been banned. You can see it on the TV. It kind of dismantles Celtic Park in the sense. So there's a lot of disconnection. I mean, last night they were singing Nancy, Nancy, get the fuck. And they were just singing sack the board, sack the board, sack the board. Obviously, there's entitlement for Celtic fans. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying because you've won so much, you might see like not winning as a complete failure. One season that isn't going to affect anybody, but as you can see it over the years that have been progressively disconnected for the Celtic support. Peter Lawwell, as I said, has been the centre of that, and whether it will get any better, I don't have a Scooby, but I think it's for hiring your son. Obviously, son might be smart because obviously Peter Lawwell is a businessman, so he knows what most businessmen know what they're doing. But when you lose the community feeling at a community club and that disconnection, it will ruin you. It will ruin you. And I think a lot of fans, the only reason they're disappointed with the board is that communication. It is like, if you told us, right, because they published this that they had between 70 and 80 million, 100 million in the bank. Where's that money went? Like, it's obviously operates the club, but they could have pushed on after Bayern and they could have got to the next level, but they didn't. So I think that's why Celtic fans are unhappy. In this video, I've obviously talked about the abuse he's got since that's the reason he's left, but it's probably the right time for him to leave because he's been here. He done quite good in his first couple, but as obviously teams are starting to challenge Celtic, and it's been hard, like for teams in Scotland especially, it's harder to sign players from different leagues so there's money involved in football now. But I think, as I said, the disconnection between Celtic and the board and the fans is just unbelievable. And I think I agree with the fans, it probably should be resolved. Whether under this new interim chairman Brian Wilson it changes, we don't know, we'll have to see. But hope you've enjoyed this video today. I know it was a lot of me talking shite basically about disconnection, but Peter Lawwell, as I said, he's gone now, so it's just to see if it will change anything. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, put in post notifications, go to all my socials down below, and thanks for watching guys, and goodbye.